Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, things here on Footfall have gotten a mite bit incendiary. So, let's head down to the Adeptus Amasekis, grab a cold one, and hope that cooler heads can prevail. We've got a lot of friends here, or at least business partners, so I'm sure we can strike a Chorda. Honestly, I'm just curious to see how many callbacks we end up getting. That is always my favorite part when it comes to these sorts of games, seeing the consequences of your past actions. Though I do feel like we've done pretty well by Footfall, so I'm not anticipating any significant complications. Outside of Hieronymus, I suppose. To arms! Wait, it's his lordship, Von Valancius. I thought it was Chorda's dogs with another inspection. Stand down. False alarm. Those monsters burned an entire section of living quarters yesterday. There'll be no mercy for them. I'm sure the Vakimo has a plan for kicking her slaughter ship off the station. The Vakimo? Just let the enforcers try to walk in here. Last mistake they'll ever make. Sure. The barrels exude the smell of cheap fuel, which the owners must be using to power the bar's generators, and quite possibly to dilute their rot gut. And that's gotta be our sewer access. We'll hold off on that, deal with this first. Don't want to risk inadvertently tripping a flag or something by leaving this map prematurely. Not so tough without your pals, are you, filth? Spare me. I'm a enforcer of house. You're a dead woman. This is what you are. Stab her in the eye. That's a start. Alright guys, easy now. I guess I can't really blame you if that is in fact an enforcer of House Chorda. We'll have words with Blaine. And Riza. Also Hieronymus. Alright, let's start working our way through. Looks like we've also got some new loot scattered about. Yeah, we'll need to be thorough. This is all useful for bumping up with the Drusians. Though I do suspect things are going to get a mite bit awkward with them shortly. You have no other options, Riza. If you abandon Footfall to Chorda and flee, where are you going to sell your goods? Or restock your supplies? It will just be a slow death for all of you, with no ammunition, no water, and no air. So quit bargaining with fate and stick to the plan. Plan? You have no allies, no weapons, nothing. Blaine and Riza notice you, and the old pirate grins sarcastically. You're a runt trying to play with the big boys, Vakimo. You've taken on a rogue trader dynasty with only a handful of heavies and a couple of guns to your name. The way I see it, your march to the gallows is more of a gallop. Turning away from Riza, Blaine's expression does not change, but an indistinct curse falls from his lips. Takara, Riza. It's been a while. Blaine replies in a stiff, formal tone. My apologies for being unable to receive your lordship in my office. My present status imposes certain limitations on me. Greetings, your lordship. And as for you, Vakimo, I've got nothing to add. Your plan's utter crap. I don't gamble on those kinds of odds. I'll leave you to think about your prospects. Maybe you'll realize that using my shuttle would be a better idea, while me and my shuttle are still here. By the throne's radiance, Vladain, if you don't tell me this very moment where you and Falco are keeping my guys... The former liege interrupts Jai with a dry gesture. I don't do business with rats, Haydari. And surprisingly enough, for once, I don't mean you. In that case, pray to the Exalted One that Falco backs up your story before he dies. Disappointed, Jai takes her hand off her weapon and bows her head before you penitently. Forgive my brazenness, Shireen. He's all yours. Yes, thank you, Jai. The former liege looks angry and focused. His coat collar is unbuttoned, showing the meshwork of ceramite-reinforced armor hidden underneath. He is wearing a gun holster on his side. Now that Vladain has thrown off the mask of a disgruntled bureaucrat, his sleeves are rolled up, showing his old bandit tattoos. He exudes an aura of imperious cruelty. So, how's it going? I've got to say, Vladain, things on the station seem a mite bit grimmer than usual. It's turned into a kingdom of death. Executing protesters, cracking down on corrupt traders, and suppressing dissent are all good, useful policies within reasonable limits. I've used them myself, in fact. However, with Lady Chorda, reasonable limits are a distant memory at this point. Fortunately, I'd been preparing for that turn of events ever since that hag tried to take footfall the first time. You helped us then, giving me time to organize. I set up weapons caches, enlisted more fighters, and deleted my agent's data from the Cogitator network. When Chorda seized power, she thought she'd won, but the station was still mine. To an extent. My little army is waging war on the enforcers. We slaughter patrols, wrestle back detainees, and punish those who collaborate with the enemy, or are close to someone who does. Vladain's ruthless smile is like a jagged steel trap. Incendia is conducting her reprisals, and I am conducting mine. Everyone must remember that there are consequences for collaborating with the occupying force. Well, nice to see you've still got some fight in you, I suppose. And here I was worried your time as a bureaucrat might have made you soft. Vladain smiles tersely. Old habits die hard. I'll admit I wasn't exactly yearning for the days of my youth, but to find myself in the line of fire again is invigorating. Your Lordship, I'm asking you for help. Not just on behalf of the portion of the station population that isn't already scared shitless, but on behalf of the Kaspalika mission as well. My people and my organization's assets are in a vulnerable position. Help us protect our interests, and we'll help you protect yours. Well, that is a big part of why I'm here, but just out of curiosity, what exactly were you hoping I could do? A general uprising will be doomed to fail. The enforcers have isolated the asteroids. We can't strike out against Incendia. She has the greater numbers, and her throne's refractor field will protect her from any attack. An insidious smile appears on the liege's lips. So we'll ask her ladyship to come to us, exploiting her overconfidence. If she wants my blood, let her come and spill it. She knows we use the Amasekis as our meeting place. If you let the enforcers know I can be found and grabbed in here, she will come, and she will hardly drag her throne with her. We'll lure her into a trap, kill her, and take back Footfall. So you want me to kill another rogue trader? You realize that's a pretty tall ask even for me, right? Yes, but if you don't, a critically important station in the Expanse will become a graveyard. Once commerce dies, merchants will turn to piracy. What else could they do? Connections between worlds will be weakened, since Chorda will make short work of astropaths as soon as she gets to them. And Chorda, do you think Footfall will be enough for her? No, she'll march on. Perhaps to your worlds as well. Besides, the Kasperlika mission, and I am authorized to say this, sees your lordship as a proven and valuable ally. Incendia Chorda has nothing to offer you, while my organization's gratitude is guaranteed. Between losing an influential partner and strengthening your ties with them, I'm sure you'll opt for the latter. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was already going to help out anyway. I was just curious to see what you'd say. So what kind of resources are we working with? You said you still had some men? However much Chorda would like to believe she's kicked the Kasperlika out of Footfall, she hasn't. We're scattered all over the station, lying low, and there's still enough of us to cause trouble. A small band of my most daring cutthroat staff members who were by my side when I came to power. Business partners who still remember that any venture is only as reliable as the grip of the venturer's hand on their pistol. Add to that the group of Xenos mercenaries which my colleagues from the Kasperlika mission have provided me with. A radical solution, I know, but they don't care who they kill as long as I pay them. And I have the means to pay them. We would have greater numbers if Rizza wasn't so damnably cautious, and Hieronymus did us a favor and shut his preaching trap. Ladame grits his teeth and adds quietly, I would have thrown the good Reverend for a loop long ago if it weren't for the fanatical mob that would show up here to avenge him. Yeah, let's maybe hold off on that for at least a little longer. But Rizza, what exactly is her problem? I mean, obviously the entire situation, but anything in particular? She has misgivings about the prospect of our cooperation. The old rogue prefers not to pick fights unless her victory is a foregone conclusion. And right now she seems to be planning on fleeing rather than fighting. She needs the right kind of motivation. It's a shame there's no one the cold bitch values enough for me to take hostage. Alright, Ladame, buddy, I'm going to need you to take it down like 3 notches, but there is actually someone we could use as a bargaining chip. I'm definitely not telling you, though. But I will talk to her. Perhaps I can bring it up then. Why'd she call you Vakamo? Old nicknames die as hard as old habits. I used to be known by that name on the station. The Vakamo is a myth, a malicious spirit stalking its prey in Footfall's empty sectors. Tokara chuckles. I had a terrible reputation when I was young. You and me both. So, Hieronymus, what exactly is he trying to accomplish over there? He preaches repentance. Ladame remained stone-faced for a few seconds, before giving in and letting a sarcastic smile form on his lips. Chorda sent him here to make us lay down our arms and renounce our rebellious ways. But he seems taken aback by the scale of Lady Incendia's purges, which opens up possibilities. If we put pressure on him, he'll bring over zealots who will tear apart whoever he points his finger at. A useful man. I regret not getting him on side sooner. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's behind this whole thing, but... yeah, maybe, I guess. Regardless, though, like I said before, you realize Grand Inquisitor Calcazar probably won't take well to the death of his lackey. Considering Calcazar never once interfered in the station's affairs, he clearly couldn't care less about footfall. This means he also doesn't care who runs the station, so long as things are quiet here. I'm going to make sure things are quiet. Granted, he did give Chorda a security detail, but if she's already... Takara emphasizes the last word. Dead, and her death doesn't reek of deadly heresy, he likely won't bother to investigate. The Lord Inquisitor will simply entrust governance to someone who won't cause him problems. Someone like me. I realize it's a bold hypothesis, and the Lord Inquisitor may have me hanged for Chorda's death. But my life is at stake as it is, so I may as well take the risk. You know what? You're not wrong, so I suppose we'll do what we have to. An unblinking gaze fixes upon you. Indeed we shall. All right, Takara, I'm in. Not sure about killing Incendia, but I'll do what we have to get her out of power. For the sake of Footfall and all the people on it. The Seneschal furrows his thick eyebrows. I cannot say I approve of antagonizing Chorda, but her methods being what they are, I definitely disapprove of assisting her. Thanks, Abby. I'm glad you're with us, your lordship. This is a fight we must be well prepared for. As a colleague of mine used to say, if your brain doesn't hurt from all that thinking of where to hide, it'll discover even your skull isn't thick enough once the fight is on. Which sounds especially ironic considering how he died. I'd like to ask your opinion on how prepared we are to entertain Lady Incendia. Perhaps some of those gathered in here will support us. Rizza's people, Hieronymus's zealots, even Octaviana's regulars. We can use whomever we can get. If you think that it may be worth fortifying our position or preparing a few surprises for our guests, my people and arsenal are at your disposal. All you have to do is say the word. As soon as we're ready, send Chorda a message saying I'm here. Let her come. We'll settle our differences the Footfall way. With a gunfight. Right, well, I'll certainly see what I can do. And speaking of resources, I don't suppose you've got any I could perhaps peruse? Regretfully, your lordship, I have nothing to offer you at the moment. My access to the assets you're interested in has been temporarily restricted. It's going to take putting a bullet through a couple of heads for me to once again be able to offer an adequate range of merchandise. Understood. I'll just make do with what I've got then. Let me have a look around. Ladane nods attentively, then looks down at a data slate showing a map of the station systems. He scrutinizes it with a pensive expression. All right, Hieronymus, your turn in the barrel. What do we got going on here? Only by admitting to your depravity and taking the path of redemption will you drive the darkness out of your soul and let the Emperor's light into it. Look at yourselves, huddled in this den like so many hunted beasts. The Emperor protects young Von Valancius. What has brought you here? Perhaps you would like to confess? Repentance is the first step on the path to redemption. Actually, Padre, I'm glad I caught up with you. You know, during my travels, I came across a frozen world with a cave full of Drusian soldiers protecting a bunch of sabotaged cryovaults. They had murdered pretty much everyone inside. I don't suppose you know why? Hieronymus sighs heavily and is silent for a while. Then he replies in a hollow voice. It was done on my orders. All my life I have been a confessor to lost souls. Now let me make my own confession to you. I seek no forgiveness or understanding. I only want to tell the truth. Aspis Vestal Chorda had imprisoned her heirs in those cryovaults to stop them from challenging her authority. Incendia was among them. My fellow faithful chanced upon those ice crypts. Aspis's wicked design horrified them, and I thought, if St. Drusus had died a martyr's death to be resurrected in faith, perhaps another could follow in his footsteps. I chose Incendia. As full of worms as her innermost soul was, it had not rotted completely. As for the others, I put them to death. For thousands of years of suffering would not have been enough to cleanse the stench and rot from their cursed souls. Wow, not quite what I was expecting, but you know what? It does track. I sabotaged Incendia's cryovault, and she spent 3 years conscious, blind, and helpless. My brothers and sisters recited prayers over her prison to plant the seed of faith in the soil I had weeded. I hid the truth from Incendia and became her mentor, setting her on a path of service to his will. And that was how Incendia, the offspring of a felonious heretic, became his vengeful hand, striking down enemies of the Imperium at the cost of the evil I had done. Wow, okay, so less a puppet master and more analogous to Dr. Frankenstein. Interesting twist. So you spent years psychologically torturing this poor woman. And now you're surprised she's just lashing out at everyone else around her? Yes, and I am a liar and a murderer as well. If you're accusing me, do not omit any of my crimes, for I will not deny them. My confession is over. I have bared my innermost self before you, and the truth concealed therein. You are free to do with it as you please. I will indeed. But first, tell me, what exactly are you trying to accomplish here? Salving your conscience? Trying to make amends for the monster you've unleashed on these poor people? It is not poor people that I see. I see fools and malefactors whose weakness made them reject the law of the Imperium, who are in need of repentance and instruction. Had I come here earlier, perhaps I would have been able to prevent this heretical insurrection. And pray tell, what do you see, rogue trader? I just see scared people trying to live their lives, and doing whatever it takes to protect themselves from those who seek to take it. You're entirely right. But it is not their lives that they should be saving. It is their souls that are truly in peril. Is that why I see Chaplain amongst your brethren? I was wondering where he'd gotten off to. Tell me, how do you think Incendia Chorda would react if she knew you were harboring a former pirate? Chaplain is a deeply devout servant of the Emperor. Few are as intimately familiar with human vice as him, and that is what fills his words with sincerity. His flock heeds and respects him. And as for all the hardened rascals and cutthroats who are part of the flock, why not? Our doctrine shuns no one, so long as they are willing to receive its word with an open heart. I actually do commend you on that, Padre, but I hope you realize it highlights the hypocrisy between you and your wayward ward. You talk a big game about redemption, whereas she rewards even the slightest mistake with the sword. I take no credit for that. They chose that path for themselves. I merely point out that the path is open to all, and instruct those who have started their journey to redemption. For thus St. Drusus taught us. So you, of all people, should recognize that what's happening here is wrong. It's only right that you help me put a stop to it. Are you openly declaring your intent to move against an enactor of the Emperor's justice? And why should I, her mentor in the faith, help you commit that act of treachery? You really gonna start playing dumb now? Padre, you literally just spelled out exactly why her current actions fly in the face of what you claim to personally believe. The faith that you claim to uphold. Incendia slaughters people for the slightest infraction, real or imagined, which leaves no room for redemption, no room to learn from one's mistakes. Can you look me in the eye and say that this is what St. Drusus would have wanted? Hieronymus's eyes are filled with bitter sadness. No, it would not. My way of serving him has always been different from the paths trodden by the ecclesiarchy. St. Drusus's doctrine taught me virtues that are unknown to many among the righteous, and I, in turn, taught them to my brothers and sisters. I tried to teach them to Incendia, too, but she chose a different path. It is time for me to remind her of those lessons. Now you have banished my doubt. I will do what must be done. St. Drusus's faithful will aid you in battle. You know, I really wish I could say that you're a good man for doing this, but also you kind of caused it, and you're a monster, but it's complicated, I guess. Good to have your support, though. But we are going to have to talk about this once this is all said and done. No matter how this turns out, I think it's pretty clear that Hieronymus really needs to be kept away from any sort of position of power. That said, I'll also say, you know, while he was ultimately behind it, I do appreciate the twist. I was really, honestly, kind of expecting him to be more of a chaos-sworn Machiavellian mastermind of some sort.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
I do like that they can keep me guessing, though. As well as, of course, the fact that we're seeing all these callbacks to earlier acts. The fact we could even bring up the chaplain, that was fun. Whose name, I guess, is actually just Chaplain. He is Chaplain. I kind of love that. Stop squirming. One slip of my scalpel, and there go your balls. No, Chaplain, we can't have that. How would I whack enforcers without them? So that's what you were going to whack them with? Relax. Drusus helps the Bollickless, too. Uh-huh. Well, let's not go nuts just yet. The imposing man, covered head to toe in scars, is hard to mistake for anyone else. You are looking at Chaplain, confessor to the late Dens Ballardo, whose funeral now seems like an eternity ago. His arms are crossed as he surveys the room with a gloomy expression. As you approach, he bows deferentially. Your lordship, it's nice to see that St. Drusus has protected your neck from the heretics in Xenos since we last met. Shame how it's always sad events that bring us together. The last time it was a funeral, and now it feels like half of Footfall needs a memorial service. Chaplain, good to see you still kicking around too. I did notice your absence up top. What are you doing down here? Same as always, your lordship. Bringing the Emperor's light to the lowly and downtrodden. And I have my hands full here on Footfall. The station's teeming with hungry, maimed, and frightened people. His large fists clench into twin mace heads. Her ladyship Incendia Chorda, in her righteous zeal, doesn't see the atrocities her enforcers commit in the shadow quarters, using her name as their shield. I intervene wherever I can, but to be honest, I'm almost spent. Helping everyone is beyond my abilities. Well, good on you for at least trying. What do you make of all this, anyway? Chaplain jerks his chin up defiantly. Honestly, perhaps this began as a cleansing, but since day one, it's looked more like a frenzy of fanaticism. Granted, people with a clear conscience have always been few and far between on Footfall. But is that a reason to exterminate everyone for the pettiest infractions? St. Drusus teaches us to bring people back to the Emperor's light, and only punish by death those who've crossed the forbidden line and turned away from him irrevocably. I'm my own living proof that even a thoroughly rotten scoundrel can take the path of redemption. Are we in such deep retreat from the heresy we're battling that the Flamer and Noose are the only tools we have left? Shame that Reverend Hieronymus won't listen to me. He's too zealous. He sees the face of vice too clearly and finds it too aberrant. Looking at Footfall makes him sick, and so he welcomes the cleansing. Well, you might be surprised there, Chaplain, but, then again, he might be, May St. Drusus help you, your lordship. Yeah, you too. May he help us all. I do wonder if Chaplain's comments are just out of date, or if he is in fact right. That perhaps Hieronymus isn't so quick to abandon Incendia's plans. He's already shown he's capable of some pretty incredible deception, so who's to say he's not trying to deceive us as well? Octaviana looks tired, but finds the strength to smile briskly. She pours 2 shots of a clear yellowish liquid with streaks of promethium in it, and slides one toward Rizza. Let's drink to her infallible ladyship Chorda's mercy and good judgment, wherever they may be right now. Rizza downs the shot, grimacing in satisfaction. You have quite a way with words, Octi. Yes, indeed, one would hate it if Lady Chorda's ill health affected our own. Have you by any chance run into Lady Chorda's good judgment on your journeys, your lordship? The pirate laughs hoarsely. Ah, Octi, I've missed the fiery sunset of your hair, Shireen. Sorry I haven't brought any gifts today, but we're certainly going to down another round or two. Shut up, Haydari. You came back alive, and that's good enough. Octaviana's face twists into a scowl, but her whole body leans forward toward her old friend. And don't beat around the bush. I know exactly why you've come to Footfall in such a rush, but Jai, your guys got killed. Every last one of them. Before Chorda even set foot on the station. Some were found dismembered in the shadow quarters. Some became a heap of ash at the crematorium. And Falco launched the luckiest ones into orbit around the station, so that everyone could see how much he despised you and your patron, if the rogue trader will pardon me for saying it. That Ashmag. Jai's voice is full of anger and thirst for vengeance. No, there's still something he needs from me, so not all of them are dead, or at any rate, it will be better for him if some aren't. Where is he, Octi? Speak. You know very well where. Octaviana waves towards a drab-looking door covered by a sheet of metal. The sewers are where that rat belongs. You know, he was gonna rat us all out to Chorda, including Vladaim. You should have seen Falco's face when Vladaim led the Inquisitor's dogs to him first. Ha! Well played. But you're not afraid they'll come for you next? Octaviana smiles tenderly. If they show up, I'll blow up the martyr's endurance before I let those butchers take me alive. And for now, I'll be behind the bar, refueling my roughnecks. It's a rotten thing for a captain to abandon ship, isn't it, your lordship? Some captain. If I were you, I'd scram while the scramming's good. I know you're attached to the Amasekis, but this hole ain't worth dying for. I have a shuttle hidden away nearby, so we could take off right now. Give it a rest, Rissa. I'm not holding you here, so stop trying to drag me away with you. To be fair, you do seem to be holding out thus far. At the very least, you're faring better than the folks up top. Yeah, we're still doing pretty badly, but we're in no mood to lie down and die just yet. There's still people who can't stand Chorda's regime, and they are fighting. A sting a day, always somewhere new. Vladaim may be on the run, but he still has people loyal to him. He'd have had more if it weren't for Reverend Hieronymus. Many have fallen for his sermons and taken to repenting and confessing. He's turned so many to the faith that they don't dare touch him anymore. The old man's a force to be reckoned with now. Right. Hopefully dealt with, but I guess we'll see. Octaviana lowers her voice. Vladaim has let the station slip away from him. Plenty of people ain't happy about it, not least his business partners. Should something happen to Tokara, come here. Your dealings with the Kaspolika shouldn't take a hit because of the old liege's ambitions. Oh, is that why you have a portrait? Because you're an alternate trade rep? Well, no, if that were the case, they would have given one to, what's-his-face, the new Glory to the Omnissiah guy down in the atrium. Still, very notable development. Well, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Tokara and I actually have a plan to deal with Discorda in our station. I was actually hoping you might be able to help us with that. The woman looks away, pensively. And by us, you mean you and Vladaim? He always has a plan, but it's certainly not always the best plan. Why should I trust in your idea? Because by my reckoning, it's the best plan we've got, and it's clear that things can't continue on as they are. I'll do whatever it takes to protect the people of Footfall, even if it is following one of Vladaim's plans. The patrons greet your last sentence with an enthusiastic roar. Your heartfelt speech has resonated with the commoners, and seems to have stirred Octaviana, too. You certainly know how to be persuasive, your lordship. You're right. You're ready to risk your life for us, and here I am being picky like a noble offered a Nutribar made of corpse starch. You can count on me. I don't have any fighters, but I do have a shipment of Xenos weapons. Lethal, but with no guarantee of quality. Figuring out how it even works is tricky enough, but that still beats the junk Ladame's thugs are armed with. They can have a round on the house. I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Octaviana. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to deal with the other issue that has arisen. Riza casts a glance in Octaviana's direction, waits for her to take the hint and look away, then says, "At your lordship's service." Your eyes see through the pirate instantly, and you sense that the burden of her transgressions is so heavy that it will soon drag her under. Her fear has allowed a malicious will to sink its claws into her soul and tear it slowly to pieces. Oh my. Riza, I know that look. Please tell me you haven't gotten so desperate you've turned to the archenemy, just to make it through. The pirate narrows her eyes. What, so you're like her ladyship now? One look and you can tell the wicked from the righteous? I suppose it's easy enough to guess that a pirate has a misdeed or two to her name, but no one has ever accused me of serving the archenemy before. You wound me, your lordship. As much as Riza is trying to turn it all into a joke, there is anxiety in her eyes, and her hand is reaching unconsciously for something concealed under her shirt, on her chest, as if she is trying to further hide it from your gaze. I see. Riza, let me let you in on a little secret here. I've been down that road myself. I made the same mistake that you are now. And I paid a dire price for it. Not just me, but a lot of other innocent people who just got caught up in the wake of my actions. I'd hate to see you make the same mistake, because it's not... When that price comes due, it's not just you who'll end up paying it. If you care at all about your crew, your contacts, your friends, I'd suggest you reconsider. Riza's expression turns to stone. She peers tensely into her glass as if trying to find some answer at the bottom of it. Finally, she raises her eyes to you, looking incredibly tired. You're cruel, you know, your lordship. The way you found where this old pirate was hiding her conscience and dragged it kicking and screaming into the light. I got in over my head and almost took my guys down with me. I'd be a crap captain if I allowed my fear to kill my crew. Thank your esteemed self for talking some sense into me. Got a light? The pirate casually rips some kind of amulet from her neck, bearing a fanged beast crowned with horns. She tosses it into her near-empty glass of rotgut and throws the match you offered her after it. The contents of the glass are immediately engulfed in unholy purple flame. A minute later, all that remains is ash and a nasty puddle of black metal at the bottom. Satisfied with the result, Riza smashes the glass on the floor. I'm glad you saw reason. And you know, not to be pedantic, but Ladame does still need your help. I do too. Your lordship, this so-called plan is nothing but the death throes of a cornered and condemned man who's grasping at imaginary straws. The Vakamo was once smart, shrewd, and wily, but now he's simply refusing to admit he's already lost. We modest dealers are no match for a rogue trader. It would be different, of course, if we were strongly motivated or had a rogue trader on our side. Rizzo looks you straight in the eye, her meaning quite clear. Rizza, I feel like if you look back at our history together, I've always been on your side. I might not necessarily agree with every single action you take, but generally speaking, I do value my friendship with the independent fleets. You're putting pressure on the most vulnerable spot, your lordship. The pocket. My fellows will be very disappointed if I ruin our friendship. I'm afraid you leave me no other option but to say yes. Oh, what the warp. My crew and I will take part in your little uprising. But don't ask me for details. Old Rizza prefers to keep quiet about the behind-the-scenes workings of her insidious and sudden strikes. You know what? Fair enough. Just glad to have you on board. And yes, still no new loot, so that's fine. Though that may change once the new DLC drops. The previous one also was accompanied by several new items in the interface. The Webbers, the industrial tools, all the spinner stuff. Oh man, and we are getting really close to hitting Zealot too. That is fantastic. I was actually starting to get worried that we might have waffled too much, and that we weren't going to quite make it. But this particular quest has actually been very, very generous with iconoclast points. You recognize the Aldari you once freed from the local charlatan's collection. The mutant smiles gratefully with his 5 rows of teeth. Hey, wow. There's a callback I really wasn't expecting. When we were in the cages, we got fed. And we got zapped, but nothing else besides that. Now we aren't getting any food, and on top of the zapping, there's hitting and kicking and stabbing, too. I want to go back to my cage. Oh, buddy, no, you definitely do not. I mean, look, I know it's tough out here, but I am like 900% sure that the ones who did stay behind in the cages were definitely murdered the second Incendia Chorda set up shop. The decanter used to contain a cheap amasec, which, for the sake of attractiveness, has obviously been enriched with a deodorizing agent. I think we've seen that one before. Yeah, okay, now it's just repeating stuff. But we do still have new items. That's kind of weird. It does seem that some of the various skill checks scattered around the bar have reset for some reason. Right, like this. This is the interface connected to the fuel tank. Yep. Internal scan of the fuel compartment.
Is there money to be made?
All right, well, I'm pretty sure we're done here, but let's finish poking at all the nooks and crannies, and then I think we'll be at a good place to call it. Oh, hey. Mind the gap. Actually, are there, Oh yeah, hold on, we're seeing, just down the stairs here, we're seeing an athletics check. Order the fuel barrels to be placed throughout the room. Which I've got to say sounds like a terrible idea, but sure, let's do it. If just for that sweet 13 experience points. Oh, okay. So wait, right, you know what, that makes a lot more sense. If we're just specifically putting them around the choke point, that's definitely more viable than scattering them all over the chamber. And assemble barricades, yes, please.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Nice, nice. Apparently not quite as done as I thought. Anything in our final room? What do we got? Melta charges. We'll take them. Which I believe does cover everything. Though I will do another pass off screen just to be absolutely sure. Nope.
Keep your wits about you.
Once again, spoke too soon. This shoddy cover will offer little protection against a well-aimed shot, but at least it will conceal the target from the shooter. Sure. Okay, well, now I believe we are done. Though, as aforementioned, I will do one last pass off screen. I'll also say, you know, as slow as this episode was, I mean, we did basically just walk around one room talking to people. I really appreciate the number of callbacks they fit in here. I think about the only thing that didn't come up that I was really kind of expecting was that we have Rizza's grandfather, I think, in our crew. He's the guy we picked up along with his friends all the way back on Rykad Philia, the prison world in Act 1. It's why she gives us a discount on all of her goods. I immediately thought of that guy when Vladain was going on about needing leverage to try to strong armor. But aside from that, I'm pretty satisfied with how things all sort of came into play here. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now, but we will pick up here next time as Chorda gets thrown off. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Erie V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Let us not dawdle.